Today's video is all about Sensay, the path to digital immortality, autonomous digital replicas acting on your behalf and connecting through generations. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, looking into the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, figuring out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio for the continuation to the upside of this bull run. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Now the question is Sensay the opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be looking into this project very carefully, trying to look into some of the fundamentals. Obviously, should we be bullish? Should we be bearish? What should we be expecting here? Should we be scaling in, building a position? And of course, we look at a lot of projects all the time, and we take a very, very simple approach. The approach is where we look at these projects from a retail perspective. What is the retailer looking for? What should the retail be looking for when they are trying to do research and looking for, good opportunities throughout the market? Of course, there's so many projects out there, so many AI projects in gaming and this and that. The thing is, we have to be very critical. We have no choice but to be critical so that we can protect our capital. We invest, we buy, we get involved, and ultimately we want to be safe out there. So deep dive research is definitely one of those, those processes that are required, especially if you're new to the space. Knowledge is definitely power. All right, guys, let's move in and start looking at this. Of course, I'm going to be doing, research where I look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to be giving you my honest opinion, and we're going to be using the website, some of the documentation provided by the team to kind of navigate what this project is all about. Of course, we need to hold the teams accountable, to bring us all the information we need to get fundamentally bullish. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at, all the documentation provided. So in this case, we can see path to digital immortality, very, captivating, very interesting. I like the way the landing page looks. Everything looks pretty good right now. Top 3 product of the day, Oxford Artificial Intelligence Society, product hunt, got a good rating. Okay, interesting stuff there. Sensay is pioneering digital immortality with authorized AI autonomous personal replicas. Okay, so replicating a person through AI, right? I'm assuming what they're referring to is, of course, the mind, replicating the mind. And we'll talk about that as we go through its value proposition. By the way, guys, I think its value proposition is quite great. It's very unique. It identified a very, very important problem that, could, a software solution like this could provide a lot of good benefit. And of course, we'll talk about all of this. Let's see what else they got here. The token, you can do some research on all these aggregators here, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, DEX tools, and so on. The Quest, if you want to get involved in all of that. Featured in, okay, so they're Bloomberg, TED AI, Yahoo, Crypto News. That's good. A bit of exposure, of course. All projects need a little bit of those that marketing exposure. I appreciate that. And then we get into the token itself, Ethereum based ERC20. We know that the ERC20s, Ethereum based projects at the current moment are, a little bit frowned upon given the gas fees and all of that, and the fact that Ethereum is not looking the greatest. So, we're just going to pepper that in just to kind of keep in mind that, out of all chains, Ethereum at the current moment is slightly under fire. And how does that reflect onto projects that are built on Ethereum, designed to empower users and drive platform growth? Okay, platform revenue used to buy back the token. Okay, buy back the token. Are we burning the token after the buyback? What are we doing with the buyback? I'm assuming that could be a thing. Facilitates transactions with Sensay, incurring subscriptions. Okay, that's interesting because I think that's one of the major value propositions of the token itself is the marketplace and that whole transaction approach, right? It's a point of transaction. They use the token for transactions mostly. That's what I'm seeing here. Staking opportunities, that's good. Or getting some rewards, APY, that's typical, of course, with proof of stake models. Governance, participation in decision-making process. Guys, this is where I have a bit of an issue, which is the governance aspect of this project, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. And I'm going to give you some factual information. I'm going to show you some of the details where you can make your own decisions, of course. I'm going to have a bit of my own insights, obviously, but I would recommend that you make your own decisions with some of the information that I provide. Unique features. Okay, training simplified, so you can train an AI model. Okay, so as we read through, try to, think about what makes Sensay different from every other AI model. This is what's important here, because the value proposition should be one that is unique and can potentially provide some utility other than what other AI models are providing. Just remember that the AI narrative is somewhat saturated at the current moment. A lot of AI out there, and this is one of the critical things that a lot of people are talking about, is that when we see a narrative oversaturated, we start to see a very competitive space and a lot of replication of the same utility. So training simplified. Okay, well, we attached files, PDFs, images, and you can train a model. I've seen it before. Share stories, tell Sensay all about your past and present, and capture precious moments. Guys, we're training models again with data, lots of data. That's how models, AI models work, where you provided all kinds of information. It learns about the information, collecting all the little details and being able to synthesize that information and be able to provide those the language right back to you. Let's see, Athena training assistant, just to make that training aspect a little bit easier for those that are not comfortable training models. Okay, that's an interesting take. More training, better replicas. Okay, again, better replicas, replicating individuals per se, their personalities, the information that they have, the details regarding who they are, and all those little things that make a person. They're going to try to replicate it within an AI model. Okay, that's the value proposition here. And to be honest, I've seen very similar things in the past. The only thing that I do appreciate is that, of course, it focuses on an individual person, making that individual person's mind or thoughts and so on immortal. And this is what was basically mentioned at the top of the website, which is a very strong statement, of course, and a very interesting value proposition for those that want to keep their memories alive going forward. Of course. Now, if you look, we have a lot of images of personalities out there, and of course, if we are training their models using their socials and any other books or documentation that they have, we can replicate their personalities and their potential responses fairly easily, given the data that they have out there. Because of course, social individuals like this that are popular, there's a lot of data with regards to what they say and what they've done, and and so on. So pretty interesting, and you can do this at a personal level, which is good. Try it yourself. Basically generate a AI model and replicate yourself. Interesting, no doubt. And this goes on how it works. You have Athena, you have your interface. I see Telegram, WhatsApp, Web API. Of course, Telegram being one of the bigger platforms out there, especially in the crypto space. A lot of people use it. It's very popular. Of course, WhatsApp and Web and API. So definitely you can use the bot on many of the interfaces that exist that are popular, which is good. Replica training bot. Okay, Athena, again, we talked about. And the replicas marketplace and the token. So I'm glad that they put the token right here, because I believe that this token, the major use case, the major utility, the main focus of the SNSY token is literally to interact with the marketplace, to be able to train bots and maybe even use bots that are already pre-existing, and that way you could use the SNS token and SNSY token as the major currency for transacting. Okay, so that's something that we have to understand here. NFT Sensay replicas, okay, and then data layer and marketplace layer, training data, operational data, and so on. So decentralized storage. This is something that I would like to have more information. I read the white papers. This is looking like it's something that's going to come in the future. Doesn't seem, based on what I read on the white papers and all the documentation, that a DePIN infrastructure is present, which means that the only other solution it would be a centralized platform. A centralized back end is probably what they're using at the current moment. Maybe the future, I've seen that they want to do decentralized storage. Maybe the future might be a decentralized storage application or data layer, but I don't see that being implemented at the current moment. And in addition to that, we know that AI models require a significant amount of processing. My question is where is this processing happening? Now, this might not be an interest to them. This might not be their main value proposition, which is decentralizing their backend, their infrastructure. They're providing an AI model and using a token to control the marketplace. And that could be its main value proposition or main utility of the token. It may not be anything else other than that. And that, for me, unfortunately, doesn't demonstrate a project that is completely immersed into the Web3 decentralization, even of its application, right? So we need at least a decentralized storage. And then going on from there, as an AI project, it would be nice to use or have some sort of relationship with a DePIN infrastructure that could provide decentralized processing of data, because we know that AI requires tons of processing of data. We need many GPUs and so on to make that happen. My question is what are they using right now to make it happen? I don't see any reference to DePIN or anything like that at the current moment. So for me, it seems like right now it is an AI model that is very Web 2. Okay, just be real, a very Web 2 AI model, and then obviously putting a Web 3 token on top that is decentralizing their marketplace, their transactions. That's basically what it is, a settlement. That's really what SNSY looks like at the moment. So this is some videos if you want to know a little bit more about Sensay, what it's about, the roadmap. They've hit some milestones. I feel like a lot of this needs a little bit more, because just as I've just spelled out to you, it would be nice to talk about, the governance. How's that going to be working going forward? It would be nice to talk about the infrastructure, the backend infrastructure, unless it literally is not part of their agenda, right, to decentralize the infrastructure, which is totally fine. That's the prerogative, right? If all we're going to do is rely on the token's utility as being a medium of exchange, that's totally fine. But then again, we're not talking about a complete Web3 utility, meaning Sensay is a Web 2 product with a Web 3 token on top, which, again, there's a lot of projects out there that are doing that, which is totally fine. Now, just keep in mind that Sensay is fairly new, okay? So it is coming out hot right now. And the reality is there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. I can see that. But it would be nice to make that very clear on the white paper, on the roadmap, as to where they're going to be going in the future. Like, it could be that they have all of this, what I'm saying, in mind. However, it's not here. So that's an unfortunate. And now this is the time where they should have this out here. These forward-thinking ideas where a retail investor can come in here and get really bullish on some of the focus for the future. Now we're talking about maybe multi-cycle holds, for Sensay to be around for many years to come. Of course, we want to know where the focus is going to be at. And right now, I don't see much. It's about the marketplace. I get it. Official release of Sensay app. We're going to have an app, capture a large share of AI personal market, each new sector, industry AI replicas. Guys, these are all great, but where's the Web3 at? That's what I really want to know. Now, we get into tokenomics. I'm going to give shout outs to this website. Whoever created the website is fairly clean. I appreciate that. It makes all the information nice and readily available. And that's what we want, and that's what we need here in this space. I've been on many websites and done many deep dives for you guys, and a lot of the times the information is everywhere. So kudos to that. Tokenomics, fairly straightforward. What the plan is here. You can see all the different categories that they plan on releasing or emitting all these tokens to. Public sale, 20%. Okay, we know what a public sale is. If you don't, it's basically fostering widespread community involvement, getting some of these tokens out to the community. 20%. That's a decent amount. I appreciate that. Okay, it could be a little bit more, of course, so that we can decentralize a little little bit of that of the tokens out there. Instead, we see a little bit of other categories like platform development. Okay, the reality is that's for the team, right? It's going to go towards the team to enhance features and expanding the platform. So we have to understand it's going towards the project itself. Maybe not the team from a personal level, but for the team to work and to use this working capital to, improve the platform. Fine, we need that. We need to invest. I get it. Okay, team and advisors. People got to eat. I get that as well. So this is going towards the team and all the advisors that are getting involved and trying to get this project off the ground. I agree. Go for it. Future team and advisors. Now we're getting a little bit more, right? This 20% going towards the team and starts to get a little bit heavy, in my opinion. This is, they're trying to ensure there's enough capital to go around for all those individuals that are going to get involved. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. Let's move on. Again, this is up to you guys to really, really feel, to really think about, how these tokens are being allocated, number one, and then going forward, the emissions of these tokens, which they do have an emission schedule, and of course I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Community incentives for user engagement, staking rewards, and community growth. Okay, a little bit of a similar aspect to platform development, because again, that has a lot to do with developing the project in itself from a marketing perspective, right? And at the same time, from a technical perspective. So I kind of marry these up to let's push this product, let's push Sensay to the next level via tech and via community. So we have about 25% there. Pretty good. Partnerships and collaborations, another 5%, which is basically more marketing. Build strength in Sensay network just by partnerships and collaborations. These partnerships and collaborations, personally speaking, you shouldn't be paying for partnership and collaborations. I don't know why, equity is provided for that. If it's a true partnership, it should be a relationship where they both benefit, where no one has to pay. You shouldn't have to pay for your friends. That's how I look at it. But again, it's only 5%. So that's that. Maybe the definition of what collaborations and partnerships are. In their mind, it might be a little different. Maybe a little bit more detail here would be useful. But again, the ambiguity is not so risky because it's only 5%. And that's that. Marketing, again, we're dabbling into more capital with very redundant, very redundant categories. Let's put it that way. Community incentives, and then all of a sudden marketing, and then partnerships and collaborations. That's marketing. And then we're getting into more marketing. Okay, so that's fine, another 10%. So I feel like a lot of this could be amalgamated and clarified into smaller categories, and that's fine. 10% for marketing. We need marketing, guys, and I'm gonna have my 2 cents in a second regarding their marketing and social efforts. So 10% for that. Exchange listings, we need equity there. We need liquidity for those exchanges in order to get listed. Again, they're not listed on many exchanges just yet. We'll talk about this more in a second once we go through all of the exchanges and the possible growth that getting listed on exchanges could provide for small projects. Guys, they get listed, they start to run. Volume increases. So that's an opportunity, no doubt. So 5%, I think that might be a little low. But again, because some of them are very expensive to get listed, that could be it. But again, reserve fund, 15% set aside for unforeseen expenses, and usually this is a category that could be a little bit more, or amalgamate a bit of all of these little categories and call it a fund that is basically behind governance. This is where things get a little bit of an issue to me, because the reality is all these different categories, I start to question who is going to be in charge of these categories, all this equity, all this capital, who is in charge of it. And as of now, the conclusion is that the team is in full control of all the capital that is going to be released as token emissions. And we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, okay? Because right now it kind of stops, okay? And I'm going to revisit this idea in a second. We're going to go through the website as best as we can. The team is stacked, guys. The team is really good, lots of good experience, and I went into their LinkedIn, a few of these. Dan, the CEO, had a bit of a conversation with him on Telegram. Very intelligent, very passionate individual. I think he's the real deal, no doubt. And Marco, I did check these dudes out on their LinkedIn accounts. You can see lots of good experience, lots of FaceTime here. We can see founder of Sensay. He's a strategic advisor partner at Meta Risk Labs. labs and DeFi. So there's a lot happening here. With regards to tech talent. Roman, unfortunately I don't see him part of the team on his page. Unfortunately, it would be nice to see that happen, but he's definitely listed on the website. So I'm not sure if he's in or out, but he is listed on the website. I would suggest that maybe he update this so that people could, feel a little bit more comfortable of his involvement, since he does have a top tier, label to his name, a CTO and co-founder of Sensay. So this dude as well, lots of good experience, 20 years in software design and development. We have lots of talent, lots of bullishness here. Again, really good team overall. Let me go back to the website so we can kind of look at that. Lots of good, and I'm not going to go through all of them. Not going to go through all of them. The only thing that I feel that I'm lacking, and I think that a bit more of emphasis could be their marketing individual, right? Because I am noticing that maybe their marketing is lacking, maybe a little bit weak in my book. Okay, so I'll explain why. It's not just open statements. I'll explain why in a second. Let's keep on going. They got some advisors. Okay, expert in human performance with high pressure environments, Formula One. I'm not sure how this focuses on anything. And when I see advisors that don't really relate to crypto or anything strategic and operational direction, service, Roger brings expertise in business building. Okay, that's good. Financial tech. Okay, good. That's great. With a 15-year tenure in service tech sectors, that's a good one. Okay, great. We got some good advisors. And then we have AI advisors. Guys, be careful with interpreting this incorrectly. Okay, could be for new people, this could be a bit deceiving. Elon Musk is not an advisor, and Steve Jobs is definitely not an advisor. Satoshi is not an advisor. Vitalik is not an advisor. These are AI bots that were trained to think as best as they could as these individuals, and you could chat with them if you want to go into basically have a AI type of conversation with these individuals. They'll give you some responses as to how they would respond if they were basically a trained model type of thing. So interpret this correctly. Okay, now if we keep on going down, features, digital replicas, companions, memory lane, emotional support. These are not really features. I would say that these are the features or the use cases of the bots themselves, right? Safety and reminders, emotional support. These bots can offer all of these memories, companionship, digital replicas, replicating an individual. So this is interesting. Over 200 replicas of your favorite personalities. So you can get your favorite personalities out there, and you can go and chat with them. And again, they're not real; they're AI, but they use data that exists out there in social media and so on to kind of like replicate their personality. Interesting stuff. They work with a few good projects, guys. I appreciate some of these relationships. I don't like AWS. I see AWS there. Whenever I see AWS, it turns me off completely. I don't want to see any Web 2 type of applications working with a Web 3 project. They have to do their due diligence and take it to the next level. Filecoin, yes. Arweave, great. Any other decentralized DePIN type of infrastructure gets me interested, but when I see AWS, no thank you. But look, ENS, Ethereum name service, we have Polygon ID, Fetch AI, a big one, and a few others here. So I like the relationships they're working with. I don't know if they're partnerships or anything like that, but you can see here they have a list of partnerships. Fetch AI, AIOZ, this is a big one. If you've been following the AI narrative, that's a good one. Layer Zero, a good one. There's many here, guys. There's many. Of course, go check it out. We have Octavia, Carbon, lots of good ones. Check them out. Do your research. Look into what kind of value proposition do these strategic partnerships offer, if they are strategic partnerships. Super, super important. Okay, now we went through the website. The website has a lot of information. Again, kudos to the person that made the website. It does provide a lot of information. And now we need to get into a little bit more detail, because especially with regards to tokenomics and so on. So let's do that. Let's get right into what is this. Oh, by the way, guys, this is their website that relates to the actual service itself, the product, the Sensay AI model. If you wanted to be a creator or to create a replica, your replica, it's a separate website. That website that we're just on basically is the website for the token itself, for the AI project. This is for the AI as a service, as an actual product. Okay, so here you can actually get involved, and you can see it's featured on different ABC and this and that. And this is Dan Thompson, the Sensay founder, as a replica. So while I have this up here, I went on the Telegram, and the Telegram has a great iteration of this bot where you could, discuss or ask Dan many questions. And I was on the Telegram for a good while trying to get some of my questions resolved. And unfortunately, some of those pressing questions or those very detailed questions, the AI model is not going to be able to answer. However, from a practical perspective, you're asking some general, questions. It will do a good job of giving you those generalities. 100%. So go check it out if you want to see, if you want to ask Dan, the AI, any questions. Their Telegram, he's there, or the bot is there. You might be able to get a hold of the actual founder himself. He does make, some appearances. I was trying to get a hold of him for a little while to ask some of my questions, and right at the last minute, I was able to get a hold of him, and we were able to clarify a few things. Digital immortality, like I said, this, and then again, the replicas that they have already. You got a lot of these celebrities out there that you can have that conversation with, and a lot of good info. Okay, so go check out both websites. I think they're very very viable. Let's get into the documentation. Okay, now we'll get into a little bit of detail. I'm gonna kind of skim through the intro stuff. Welcome to Sensay, SNSY. Digital replicas, we talked about this already, and let's jump right into the use case. So I think the major value proposition, or the use case that they're trying to push here, which I think is very useful and very valuable, is the dementia care, which is where you actually are losing your memories, and making it very difficult for you to recall some important things about your life, right, in cognitive functions. So in this case, being able to train a model to keep some of your memories alive, where family members are able to even ask you just basic questions and get that interaction, and still have that interaction for years to come, is obviously a really interesting thing. Now, I know there's that moral dilemma, and they do address it in one of their blog posts, which I appreciate, about keeping memories alive, and the immortality of the brain. And of course, if you want to get spiritual and all of that, feel free to do that. But the reality is, we're at a point where we're trying to find a solution to a real problem, and dementia is definitely a problem. Now, I wouldn't say that Sensay is a solution, because we're not curing dementia. What we're trying to do is just basically add a tool to the array of tools available to people that are suffering from dementia, which in this case could be an AI model that is trained to learn a person's character and history and so on. So I think it's a good one. Now, there's a lot more, as you can see. I focused on that one: educational and training, memory, expertise, and sharing. I think a lot of these have a bit of overlap, but they're still very good, useful use cases. Entertainment and gaming application, I can see that cultural and historical preservation, involving the using digital replicas to capture and preserve cultural heritage, of course. But what comes to my mind is that a lot of AI models could do this. This is the thing. A lot of AI models could already do this. So while I'm reading all of this, and I feel free, and I'm encouraging you guys to read all of this, keep in mind what makes its value proposition unique from its competitor. Because from a competitive advantage, it needs to offer something unique. There is a uniqueness. I just don't see it to be that strong. Again, good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what I do here on the channel when I do deep dives. No offense to anybody that is holding or anybody, but this is my perspective. This is my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about, the use case here, and AI in general. Why Web3? So this is the thing here. This is what concerns me the most, and is the utility of the token, data sovereignty and copyright concerns. Again, as of now, the token itself, the utility of the token, all I see is a medium of exchange. I don't see anything else other than that. And it's unfortunate, because we expect a little bit more if you're getting into the Web3 space. The Sensay Web3 vision says ultimate goal is to create a digital intelligent replicas, essentially digital twins. Okay, again, that's fine. Concept of permissionless in Sensay governs, again, a lot of fluffy. This is achieved through use of non-fungible tokens, token, which the replica could be decentralized and it could be an asset that is owned by an individual. Okay, that's great. But again, what bothers me is the back-end infrastructure. Are we relying on AWS right now, or what are we relying on to get this the actual back-end running here? Okay, so there's a little bit of ambiguity here. And again, I'm giving them some leeway because they're young and they're new and I can see a lot of good future potential here. Of course. Now, if we get into the token itself, we have the contracts, of course, they are on because it's an Ethereum based project. A lot of the EVM compatible chains are, it's very easy to get them involved in there. So we're talking about Arbitrum and Base at the current moment. So they have tokens there. They have a contract there. Token MXC, Uniswap, Ethereum, all Ethereum dexes, of course, is available on SushiSwap, Arbitrum, and Base. Okay, warning, made aware. So make sure you guys be careful because there's a lot of replicas out there and of scams and all of that. So make sure you use the right contract address when you're trying to interact with the contract buying and selling tokens. Okay, so be careful with that. We have the replicas to contain platform interaction, staking, rewarding participation through active participation. You can see this is what bothers me, the governance, guys. So I had a bit of a conversation with the founder, and not only the conversation, but even the documentation. There's literally one sentence regarding governance. Governance, token holders can vote on platform decisions, including certain new features, partnerships, and community projects, giving them a voice in the platform evolution. Okay, which is good. Now, I know you might be saying, but Mike, why is this so important? What's so important about this is it's basically also in relation to tokenomics, because if you look at the tokenomics and you look at the equity that is eventually going to enter the space as the vesting schedule unlocks tokens and we see circulation increase, circulating supply increase, what happens is we start to think about decentralization or the decentralization of the economy, and in addition to the governance or the let's call it business itself. And then also from the tech side, what is the decentralization? From the tech side, we're not seeing any major decentralization happening. We already talked about the back-end infrastructure. There's no DPIN or anything like that. So it's an AI model like any Web 2 AI model. Okay, that's fine. Now we're talking about the project itself, or the business model in itself. The business model, okay, they're trying to say that there's governance. Now let's look at this in a bit more detail. I went on their white papers and we talked about governance. Token holders are the heart of Sensay governance. Great. This is a good start for a proof of work system. We need to see decentralization from a institutional or a business perspective. It's a necessity to a degree of being considered a commodity or not, or the primary role involves voting on decisions, including platforms updates, strategic partnerships, and community changes. Token holders will have varying voting weights based on the number of tokens staked, ensuring balanced and fair representation of active participants in the platform. The number of tokens, okay, this is great. However, this is not a DAO. According to the founder, there is no DAO set in place, a decentralized autonomous organization. So token holders can propose initiatives through dedicated portal. Proposals require a minimum threshold. Okay, so we got some clarity there. Voting is conducted on a secure section of our staking platform, ensuring transparency and integrity. So basically, they allow the governance to happen based on what when and how they feel, right? So there's no real contract governing this governance whatsoever. They raise the capital and they want to be in control of the capital. And again, this is very important because again, as we see tokens emitted into the space, that is liquidity. And who is holding this? Is this a security or not? This is the problem, is that when you're when the business itself is very centralized, it starts to look like a security. This is why a lot of Ethereum-based projects have DAOs set in place to decentralize the authority of the business itself. Right now, the founder and the team is very in control. The governance, and again, the governance is a bit of an issue. Now, I'm going to show you some screenshots with some of that conversation that I had with the founder. It doesn't matter if we're locked into particular smart contracts contracts are voted on basically saying it doesn't matter. And DAOs, of course, they're what's important to understand is that they're on a continuum. There's no complete decentralization. I agree with them. A lot of projects claim to be truly decentralized, complete. There's no such thing in that case. But I understand the necessity to be into a decentralized autonomous organization here. And according to him, he doesn't find the importance. And for me, that's a bit of an issue, because now we have to rely and have a faith-based system that the team is going to follow through. Okay, so building, shipping according to our roadmap, which is the roadmap is not even the clearest, I'll be honest. Tokens are locked as per tokenomics and used, but until they're unlocked, then who gets them? Well, the team gets them. He gets them, and they get to choose where our capital goes, and so on. So we have to rely on the team to make the right decisions. That's where things get a little bit security-like. Okay, again, good, the bad, and the ugly. Honesty is key for me here. This is where things get a little bit hectic. Now, to go on with that, this is true. From time to time, we let the token holders, see, this is the problem. Let the token holders and community contribute and vote certain decisions, certain, not all, but it is not a DAO, or it has never been, or never said it will be. Unfortunate. But this is an unfortunate thing, because I think what's happening here is they raise the capital themselves, and of course that's an issue, because they want to remain in control of their own capital. I understand, it's very clear, but that's a security that starts to become a scenario where things get a little bit hectic with regards to legality. And I'm not a professional in that space, of course not, but I'm being honest and trying to be very transparent. There's a certain decision, particular features from time to time, not all form of decisions on the project as a whole. Okay, that's that. Now, if we go back to a few little other ends, they're doxed. I'm going to be positive here. They're doxed 100%. They're KYC'd fully. And audited. Their contract is audited. They don't want the drama. They're doing anything again to basically do nothing. They're not going to do anything against the project. They raise the money, and they're going to be doing what they have to do to make it succeed. Okay, that's a faith-based system. I trust you, buddy. But at the end of the day, this is Web 3, not Web 2. This is not traditional business. In a traditional business, we put faith in the CEO. In this case, there's no faith. It's no faith-based. We need fact. We need contract. We need structure. And that's what I'm really aiming for. Okay, so let me move on. That's that. That's my 2 cents. Again, good, bad, and the ugly, guys. Bear with me here. Let's get on to the tokenomics. So here, the tokenomics gets a bit interesting as well. They had the pre-launch. Again, great. The fact that they actually talked about the launch date. Do you know how many white papers I read, and they didn't even say when TGE is or launch date or anything like that? So I'm glad. Look at this. It's young. First quarter of 2024 launch price. This is very young. So there's a lot of growth potential here. 100%. Especially if they iron some of this stuff out that I'm talking about and focus on the good things that they do have, which is there are plenty. Public sale, you can see 20% to foster widespread community involvement. This is where you want to look at is the unlock schedule. Okay, so as the tokens come out and get released, the team is going to get access to a lot of these, okay, so that they can run the business, right? And as we keep on buying tokens, the token value will go up, and they will also be receiving tokens, right? So they will be receiving equity capital, and that capital could be used to fund all these various categories. And we keep our fingers crossed that for those token holders, we will be able to vote on certain decision making of the business itself, right? So that's the thing. So I'm going to show a little bit more here. Let's actually, let's do it right now. If you look at this actual crypto rank, you can actually see the tokenomics and the unlock schedule here. We're about 35%, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check this. 30 locked up, 25. I got more metrics for you guys, but there's a good portion of the tokens. Where is that? This is the timeline. This is the table. You can see that public sale is pretty much all out there. Platform, you got a lot more. So the reality is there's a lot more tokens over time. About 2% per month here, 2% per month for 4 years, again 6-month cliff, and then after that 2% per month for 4 years. So you got some time to see slow and steady emission. Slow and steady, we're going to see a lot of the tokens get released here into these various categories, and some of them are untracked, unfortunately, here on this website, but it's not a big deal. What I'm just trying to say is that their emission schedule is healthy. right? Their emission schedule is good because we're going to expect a certain percentage of the tokens being released over a long period of time, approximately 4 years. So that means that we don't run the risk of dilution, which means that as tokens come out, and if the team decides to sell on all those categories that we talked about, because again, they're not locked in contracts or into a DAO or anything like that, we have to hope that they don't sell. And again, have faith in them that they're not going to sell. Ultimately, it's only a few percent every month, and that way we don't run the risk of being sold on, and that's a healthy thing. That's very, very necessary. So this is where we're at. We're looking at vesting schedules. We're looking at very slow and steady releasing of the capital, of the tokens into circulation. And again, if you look at this chart and you look at what's going on here, slow and steady, gradual emissions, almost linear, all the way to fully diluted unlocked. Right now, we're at about 25% or something like that. I don't even trust this, to be honest. I got more metrics for you coming up in a second. Okay, so I just use this as a general idea of how the emissions schedule is going to look like. And the reason why I say look like with emphasis is because a lot of times when the team develops these papers, they should have some charts in here and graphs to make things look from a visual perspective look a little bit better and easier to read. But all the info is here regardless. Okay, so these are various milestones with regards to circulating supply. No major concerns here. Just understand we're looking for more tokens to enter the market in the next while, obviously. And then obviously understand where we are in the market cycle, right? They're going to get tokens. People are going to get tokens. Most likely they're going to be taking profits as well on the top of the bull run. So just be careful there, and we'll reaccumulate at the bottoms once again. Peaks and valleys, all that kind of stuff. What else? We have deflationary supply. So there is a fixed supply of 10 billion tokens. That's good. That's what we want. And tokens may be burned from time to time. Very ambiguous. Okay, maybe not. Like this is where things should be in contract. This is things where should be voted on the DAO, and this is what I'm talking about. So if they decide to burn, great. If they don't, maybe not. And that's cool. We have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. Liquidation provisions, okay, and the DEX, they have liquidity for the DEX and the treasury. Treasuries, usually that liquidity is again part of governance. A multi-chain feature. Again, as an Ethereum-based token, I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of interoperability between EVM compatible chains, which is good. Okay, so they're keeping up with the requirements nowadays from that perspective. Staking and rewards. Okay, again, you can get staked up. You put your tokens. You get rewarded over time for having equity locked up. And again, if there is any governance, you'll be able to get involved in that. The roadmap, there's a lot here with the roadmap. Okay, great. Again, a lot of replication from what we saw on the website. No dates or anything like that, at least quarterly dates, or where are they focusing in the next little while? I think that this needs an update. It needs a revision and clarity. You can't just be putting a whole bunch of points like this with no timeline, or at least a general timeline, an idea of where we're going next, type of thing. In my book, it looks like the final product is done. It looks like there's no next step, really, to be honest, right? So I would like to know exactly where they're going next with the vision, and then the vision itself. Speaking of vision, they have their statement, and again, very good. Nothing really to offer here. If you have any extra questions, they have some frequently asked questions. FAQ, there's some good ones here. Roadmap plan, Sensay Rome includes, very straightforward one sentence responses. That's fine. Partnerships and integrations, and then they actually, there's a lot here. Stripe, Octavia, we talked about a lot of these already. So feel free to go get into those details in their websites, their announcements. And actually, I appreciate this quite a bit because you can actually. They actually link their partnership announcements. Guys, how many times I do deep dive research and I'm like, okay, you have this as a partner, but so what? Tell me about it. And guys, you can click right here and go learn about their actual, partnerships and some things they got going on. So this is good. Decentralized identity on data storage, pushing. Are they getting there? Like, where are they going? Feel free to go read this in more detail. And they got some partnerships here with agents, and I think this is where they're going with things. And if if this is the case, I would like some elaboration on this, on these white papers, on this documentation. Dementia is a big value proposition to the point that they felt to need have to have an individual page. I agree, it's a good utility, and it could be a utility that, you know, eventually enters the healthcare system, for that matter, which we know is a very lucrative system to be involved in as providing a software solution. So I appreciate this, and I think that this is a great focus going forward. It could actually give them some very good utility from a again, from a software solution perspective. Good stuff there. Light paper, more info, feel free, and that's that data collection, disclaimers, voice, this and that. So good stuff. Honestly, guys, I'm not going to get through all of this because reality is this deep dive will take so long, but I gave you the idea. Okay, the idea is it is an AI model that gets trained. Now, what we have to talk about is that an AI, what's the difference between this AI model and an AI model that already is or exists in the Web3 space? And this is very important, okay, guys? So, well, again, back to a little bit of tokenomics, you can see that the contract holds a good portion of 62% of the tokens. And as they do get emitted, the team is going to be able to use that liquidity for various purposes. So this is the only large wallet at the current moment, 62% on the contract. Guys, I know a lot of people that have been looking into rug pulls. This will look like a rug pull, right? If this contract fails, I'm not going to say it is, but it will look like it, because there's a lot of videos out there saying how to identify rug pulls, and when you see a wallet with 62%, it is dangerous, right? And that's the reality, but it's the contract address. So we have to understand that this is locked up in the contract, and it is certified, it is audited, it is, so this is something that we have to understand. This is the nature of the game, okay? And you can see Uniswap, MEXC, and all the other slightly larger wallets, which are not even that large, hold some liquidity because exchanges require liquidity. Okay, so just to keep that in mind. So we talked about quite a few things here, guys. We looked into the team and all the other things. We understood the value proposition. I think now what the major idea here is to be able to focus on whether we appreciate you know, the decentralization of the whole project as a whole, as an identity, because that's super important, guys. You guys know that I do release an infographic for you guys on socials, and we'll talk about these details again as a quick recap. Sensay, very interesting AI project with lots of potential, but again, there's some things that I need to be very, very clear about. The ecosystem, you know, the marketplace is there. They do have a working product, which is good. I feel like maybe the ecosystem needs a little bit more, given the fact that, you know, as a marketplace for AI models, there's so many out there. I'm looking for its actual value proposition within its ecosystem that sets it apart from all its other competition. And if it's the dementia thing or the play on words with regards to preserving someone's memories and mind and so on, and infinitely immortal and all that kind of stuff, okay, I get it, but it's more of a marketing play than anything, which is fine. Again, what they bring to the market is definitely has a useful use case, and I am all over it. However, the utility of the token, this is what some people need to really distinguish the difference between the centralization and the utility of the token itself, which is the SNSY, the ticker, right? Versus the application, which is the AI model. The utility of the token is very ambiguous, because really it's just a medium of exchange on marketplace at this current moment. Platform interactions and replica marketplace and staking. Okay, those are the main. But then after that, what is it? And the fact that it provides so much ambiguity here with regards to what it does going forward, and especially with regards to governance and voting, you know, does it actually have that utility? You know, I can't get some clarity on that. And even with the conversation that I had with the founder on Telegram, it still doesn't really give me any sense of security there, unfortunately. So the utility of the token, it seems like it's a Web2 project. It's like almost like saying ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT, you know, accepting tokens to use it. Basically what it is, ChatGPT is a centralized identity, and it seems like I'm getting the same feeling here. Again, with ambiguity, I'm only going to get feelings, and again, we need some clarity here. But that's that 6 out of 10 utility. We can't slap tokens on Web2 products. For me, that's not a good thing. Roadmap, 7 out of 10. I would like a little bit more into what's going forward. Where are they allocating their resources? Because again, we're speculating here. We're in speculation mode. mode. We have potentially 1 year for it to hit a top of a bull run. Where are we allocating our capital? They have to be convincing us, the retail investor, where to be putting our capital. If they want our capital, they got to show us where they're going. The roadmap is not giving me much. I'll be honest. Like, they have some points there, which are great, a lot of fluff, but where are you going with this? Like, is it just going to be what we see right now? And for me personally, I'm not seeing it. It's not doing it for me. But again, personal opinion only here. Guys, feel free to, create your own opinions. That's the most important thing here, what I offer. Roadmap is available, needs further future insights, no mention on government's deployment or even infrastructure, capabilities or decentralization of their infrastructure. Again, I give it 7 out of 10 because it does exist. I would like more detail. The team is good. Strong team from the tech front. Solid. Nothing to say. Marketing seems underrepresented. And this is, again, my opinion from what I see on some of the metrics. And again, I'm going to talk about socials and my experience on the various platforms and so on. So it seems to be underrepresented. Team representation in the community would be valuable. Okay, so even the team, even if it's not the top tier, like the founder, CEO doesn't have to be there, of course, but is there someone else even below him, third tier, a little bit lower, that is able to go and ask questions and get involved, maybe get into a rotation? I had to wait almost a week to get involved, to get a hold of anybody with regards to the team to ask some simple questions. And I saw the community themselves getting agitated because they knew that I was doing research for a video and for a deep dive, and we were getting no responses from anybody, no clarity. And the only response we were getting, unfortunately, is from the bot that was on the Telegram, which created so much noise in the conversation that I wasn't able to make sense of any of the conversation. So again, and I also gave them my opinion that Telegram wasn't working for them because the community was getting a little bit, it's too fast of a communication. You're not able to have any sensible conversation about anything, even if it was a serious conversation. Telegram is great for pumping and, being very casual about things. But when you're in the realm of, talking about investing and talking about technology and talking about serious matters, I think a more serious platform would be a lot better to control the environment of the communication. And I'm getting into the social aspect here as well, because the team and the social relate significantly, because the team has to take some responsibility for their social presence, right? Whether it be they hire a communications manager or somebody to get involved in the community, or they themselves, it's up to them, right? The reality is we need some FaceTime with the major players out there, right? So back to the socials, they have a decent amount of followers on X, which is good, but in the last 30 days, their follower count has been coming down significantly, okay? So they're down over 100% from the previous tops for the previous month, which means that, they're losing a little bit of traction there. And their posts, 76 posts in the last 30 days, which is healthy, but overall they're down. So they're coming down from the X posts only 6%. It's not major. But what concerns me is the overall follower count coming down. People are unfollowing them, or are people just not getting that interested? Now, I'm going to be honest, this is across the entire space. A lot of the projects that I cover and I do research on are suffering from a social perspective, but given the fact that we know that the market right now is not that hot. That's the truth. We're going to get more of a retail and social presence when the market picks up and we see prices starting to flow to the upside, obviously. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the social presence, right? I went on the Discord asking the Discord is dead. I went on the Telegram. The Telegram is just a lot of just pumpy talk, and bot involvement just makes things a lot very, very difficult to talk and to have a conversation and ask legitimate questions. Whereas if they were on a Discord, you can make different channels for that have different purpose and use case, and organize the communication and organize all the efforts with regards to socials on the Discord. So again, it's maybe a form of preference between Telegram and Discord. Personally speaking, I think they both have their use case, and from a lot more formal conversation, I think Discord is a lot better. Again, my 2 cents only. Tokenomics, 40% are allocated to stakeholders of the project. Okay, so what I try to do is try to amalgamate some of the categories of what I see and say, okay, more or less, we're talking about 40% are allocated to the team and so on, and basically in control of the team, and the rest are clearly allocated in a decentralized way, even though they're for marketing and for this and for that. The reality reality is they're still in control of the team. The team has the authority to basically distribute those tokens as they see fit. Guys, it's a very centralized feel that I get here with regards to tokenomics. Their economy seems very centralized. And when that comes to mind, when I read this, it gives me a sense of a security. You know what I mean? This is a problem, right? This is something that a lot of Ethereum-based projects have already resolved by implementing a DAO. And this is something that, again, the team wasn't able really to think about or maybe address, or I'm not sure. But the reality is, I think this needs to be thought about. Clear vesting schedule, A+ for that. At least it's there. It's transparent. They're fully doxed. You know who they are. You know where they're coming from. And that's what they're using as security, as, let's put it as a way to give investors confidence, is they're there, fully doxed, and the schedule is clear. Okay, so that's good. But again, Web3, guys, Web3 relationships, 10 out of 10. Lots of good ones there, guys. Feel free to dig deep and start reading how they are strategic partnerships. I've seen a lot of projects just post all kinds of icons and logos and really no strategy, but it seems to be really good since I'm seeing like a lot of AI projects involved. Now I'm wondering if that's what they're going to perhaps get involved in the future to decentralize their back end, which would be amazing. And then you have the exchanges, Uniswap, Mexi, and SushiSwap. 2 out of 10. But guys, don't mistake this 2 out of 10 as a negative. Okay, because the reality is that means that there's a lot of room for possibility. If they get listed on other exchanges, we're going to see volume increase. We're going to see spikes of volume and price. So you can look at this as a positive as well, because there's a bit of room here, a lot more room. We're not even on any major exchanges or any other. Only it's Mexi. Where's all the rest, right? We're talking about KuCoin and all the rest. Okay, there's so many, like even Gate or CoinX, and there's so many small ones and mid tiers that they can get involved in. And then, of course, Coinbase and Binance, of course, we're waiting for those. Those are the heavyweights. But if you're going to expect those to be listed here, this will be 10 out of 10. The price won't be where it is right now. It'll probably be another 10x to the upside, if anything. So this is what you basically are trying to, speculate. This is where I get back into the speculation of a roadmap. Speculate where could they go in the future. And ideally, we're going to see more exchanges being listed here. Okay, so 2 out of 10, but it's an opportunity, not a negative. Okay, so if we look at some of the metrics, 35% of the tokens are currently in circulation. So there's a good portion of them that still need to, enter. And we know that there's a vesting schedule to kind of reduce the risk of dilution. And this is something that we need to keep in mind of, because yes, I know token unlocks usually bring a bit of a dip, but then if the demand outperforms the supply, then what happens is we go for another higher high. So this is what we have to understand. There's going to be peaks and valleys. And as long as the vesting schedule is one of which that we can trust, which we could, that's great. The only thing is that as those tokens get, integrated, we have to make sure that the team does the right thing by the token holders, not to maybe accumulate them, and then as the price runs to the top of the bull run, to dump on them. And guys, it's within their right to do that. That's the reality, right? It's within their right to take profit if they see and then redeploy at lower levels. For those long-term multi-cycle holders, they're going to want the team to do that. That's the reality. Because they're going to want the team to take profit, make some capital, so that in the bear market, right, they could redeploy and have so much more strength in capital. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just understand that that's the risk you take of holding such a project when there's a lot of tokens being emitted to a centralized authority. Just keep it in mind, guys. Just keep it in mind. I'm not, just trying to be honest, good, bad, and the ugly, of course. Fully diluted, $50 million market cap here for fully diluted. I think it's okay. It's not too bad. Maybe a bit high, but overall not too bad. Fine. Based on the hot narrative of AI, I think it might do very, very well. Now, it's part of the AI narrative. Value proposition, looking at dementia, we talked about this, being able to replicate one's mind and one's thoughts and one's memories is one that it could definitely help people that are suffering from memory loss and other cognitive abilities. So this is obviously right there. There is a moral dilemma and concerning some by the immortality, but they do have a blog post, basically talking about this and addressing it, which I appreciate. And we got to understand, guys, we're in a realm of tech here. We're pushing boundaries. I don't think there's a moral dilemma of recording your memories, even if it was recording on within a book or on an AI model. The only thing is that we want to decentralize that authority, and being able to hold our AI model in our own behalf on our own systems in a decentralized way, right? Even in a personal way, downloadable or something like that. So again, something that needs to be kept in mind. We want those AI models, those personal ones, to stay personal. Who is in control of the tokens as they get released, guys? We talked about this already. It's a very centralized economic infrastructure, and the governance. There is no DAO. There is, the founder mentioned that tokens are a utility for the platform and not governance. That's a quote directly from him. So which adds a ton of ambiguity here. So if it's not a governance like the white paper says, then it's only for medium of exchange and staking. Okay, that's fine, but the documentation says otherwise. So again, lots of ambiguity, and because it's not a DAO, there's nothing securing anything. Unfortunate. No information on the backend infrastructure. Is it DePIN? Is it not? Is that the future? Is that their focus? Is the roadmap say anything about that? Absolutely not. So I would love to see a little bit more with regards to that. Are those relationships with those AI models, are they basically working together to make the backend infrastructure decentralized? Is this possibility? I have no idea, and that would be great to kind of like have some info on. Discord is a server. The Discord server basically has no activity. Unfortunately, like there's nothing there. I think that would be a great addition to the community, but again, it's all up to personal preference. Telegram is active with lots of noise, good and bad noise, right? The Dan bot is useful. The CEO replica, he's there on the Telegram, but also adds to the noise. It's almost like bots having conversations with one another, and that's not going to add much value when there's an individual asking some legitimate questions and trying to learn about the project, in my opinion. Whereas if you were on a Discord, you can separate those conversations and and kind of moderate that. Now, and at the end of the day, of course, the project needs a marketing communication presence to make sure it's moderated. That's one of the issues here. I feel like there's no team presence. It's a small team. It's a young team. It's a young project. And I get it. It's difficult. Marketing dollars are difficult. I get it. But that's what's going to make them better. I've been in this space for a long time. I've seen them come and go. And, community, especially with good tech, is something that it needs to happen. You can't just let the community run itself and expect it to kind of like flourish without any team involvement. So now here we are. We're talking about targets. Guys, I don't like talking about targets because I'm not a fortune teller whatsoever. I can tell you this, that if Sensay does well, and it goes to $100 million market cap, it's going to be up approximately 18x. That's a great move upwards. And we're going to see capital enter the market. We're going to see the overall total market cap rise from 2.2 trillion, where we are right now, to get to all-time highs, which is about 3 trillion, and potentially go for a higher high, which would be maybe 5, 6, 10, who knows, trillion dollars. And in that case, SNSY, Sensay, will be competing for all that extra capital that's going to be entering the market. They'll be fighting for a bigger piece of the pie. Now the question is, does their value proposition, does their overall structure, does this Sensay have enough strength to beat out some of the competition and get their portion of the pie? And if it does, it's likely to rise at about 18x, which would bring it to about 0.025, okay, which is still a great opportunity here. But again, my rating is 6 out of 10. There's a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, in my opinion. Again, it could do very well. I don't know the future. It could be hit the top of the bull run at $1 billion market cap for all I know. But again, when I look at all the little details, it's all about, position size. How much are you going to be allocating towards Sensay for the continuation of this bull run? It's all about the risk to reward ratio. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at what's going on with the Sensay token. Guys, we've been covering Sensay on the channel for a good while. We've been covering it live. We've been looking at, potential entries, and it just so happened that we did get some good price action to the upside right into my buy order scenario. Let's talk about this in a bit more detail. Just because fundamentals, let's say, don't add up, and sometimes fundamentals is a form of preference. I'll be honest. We got to be real about that. I'm giving you my opinions, all my opinions, obviously on what I see and what I read and some of the details that, I kind of translate. But at the end of the day, price action is a total different things. We got many other factors that affect price. We got pumpamentals and a combination of fundamentals that make work. So in this case, do we have any pumpamentals? Do we have something to get us interested to see this thing rise? Well, this price action suggests let's get going, right? It does really go. Entries down here were absolutely perfect, and we were covering this project very early on this back test of the previous low, making a higher low and now making higher highs. Now we have no choice but to almost get a bit defensive here, because if the price retraces significantly, we got to worry about falling, below this yellow line right here. Let me make it a little bit thicker so we can emphasize the importance of this line right here. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because this is the majority of the accumulation phase. These are where all the goons started, deploying capital and expecting and preparing for a rally to the upside. And you can see a lot of volume, a lot of market participation, higher highs and higher lows, and obviously now into a nice expansion. Now, as we expanded to the upside, my biggest concern is this. Do we actually consolidate here and increase volume, or do we actually create a structure that suggests that we come down and hunt liquidity beginning right at this level, which is 0.00118, which would be another good back test for an entry for a continuation to the upside? So this is where I'm going to do. I'm going to erase this artwork here for a second. When we see expansions, guys, move to the upside with very low volume, it's not a good look. Okay, it's not a good look. Now, a lot of projects are doing this. Keep in mind, Sensay at this current moment of recording is up 8.5%, outperforming a lot of other altcoins at the current moment. However, it's a very low volume move. The volume started to pick up into this. Now, do these individuals here, have the strength to continue pushing this to the upside? For sure. The problem is that from a risk to reward ratio, if it does retrace, you're going to take a big hit. But where can we put a stop loss in the meantime? Now, I feel like getting into the 4 hours a little better here, because you can see the structure that is being formed a lot better. As you can see, a bit of a structure, which is good. This is what we kind of want. And on a lower term time frame, we can also start to plan out our setup based on that structure. So let's see here. We got two bottoms, and we're getting support on the 4 hour EMA, on the 200 EMA on the 4 hour, which is good, right? We got this little support line, which is good. And we obviously are, basically structuring out here. If we do break below these two lower lows, we're going to start coming down and testing the thick yellow line at the horizontal that I mentioned, which means that would be a great buy opportunity, as you can see. Now, what about if we hunt more liquidity? What about if we fall lower and want to induce a bit of pain in the market? And why I say pain is because the market coming down to this level will get a lot of people wrecked or liquidated or stopped out, or, you get what I mean, emotional, or, and so on. Whatever happens, you will see some emotional individuals sell on a potential loss. And that happens, guys. That's the reality of the market. That's how the market hunts liquidity, okay? But if we stay here within structure, we could obviously see our invalidation of a long position, because right now this looks like a bull flag. It's be real. It does look like a bull flag. I didn't even look at oscillators yet, and we'll do that in a second. But if you got entries right now and you put a stop loss down here, you're talking about at least a 10% dip until invalidation, which is a significant drop. Wow, that's actually more than I estimated. That's a 20% dip just to invalidation. Now, if you put a stop loss all down here, your position size has to, reflect the loss of 20%, which means if you get in with $100, let's say hypothetical, you lose $20, no big deal. But if you get in with 1,000, you get what I mean. It starts to increase, and again, with bigger bags, the more loss just to get invalidated. So the ideal scenario is to go long or build positions closer to invalidation. So let me show you what I mean before we get into oscillators, and we'll just leave this here for a second. If you get your entry closer to down here and you put your stop loss hypothetically down here, just to put it in, and then you start looking at previous highs, look at your risk to reward ratio. much better. But if you start putting your entry right here where we are right now, look, your risk to reward ratio, this is a very risky trade because we don't know if we get rejected on the previous highs again, on the tops again, and go range bound for a little while to continue this bull flag. However, if it is a bull flag, we go for another expansion and we start flying through volume gaps. As you can see, the price action above, which is defined by this red box, shows us that there's a lot of weakness in the chart. There's not a lot of resistance. If we start breaking to the upside with some more conviction and volume, it's likely that we start moving all the way to where we came from, all the way to the high level, right? And especially that we're in a bull run, it should be a really good move to the upside. So again, not too bad here from a setup perspective, because we know where to invalidate ourselves. But getting in right now is a bit risky because you got to admit you're buying local tops. That's it. You're buying tops. You're not buying bottoms, even within the structure. You're not buying bottoms, even within the entire structure, the bigger picture structure. You're buying tops on all fronts, right? So what we have to understand is that you're taking a bit of risk here. So if you have FOMO, if you feel like you need to get some exposure, because this is going to be the next 100x gem, you should be at least getting in with a small portion of your bag. Don't go all in. Don't go too nuts, because what about if it pulls back? Now, then you're going to say, but Mike, what about if it leaves without me? You know what? If it leaves without you, even if you bought a small bag, so what? You're in the profit with that small bag. Go find another project that is similar. And when it does pull back, you rotate, you get back in, because there's no certainties in price. This is the problem here. There's no certainties. We could get pullbacks. We could get an unlock and then all of a sudden pull back. Bitcoin could dump. There could be civil unrest. There could be so many things that cause the price to fluctuate. Just the only fact that we have right now at the current moment is we got a bit of a blow off top, and we're at the top of the range within the structure on these testing these tops. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We want a better risk to reward ratio. If we can enter here and then put a stop loss right underneath it, just in case we tend to want to come down and hunt this level of liquidity of max pain. Let's take a look at oscillators here for a sec, guys. By the way, these are custom oscillators, Synergy Signal. If you're interested in these oscillators, I do have links in the description. You can join the Discord and I can give you some information if you're interested as well. Now, if we look at the 4 hour, we can see that the momentum, you got overbought a couple of times. We saw some major expansions to the upside. Our expansions are coming down and our bearish expansions are getting stronger. Now, is it time to get a bullish expansion, a big strong one like this one again? Because we got some bearish expansions to the downside, pretty big ones as well. So you can see, if I draw a little line in here, you can see the bearish and the bullish expansions are pretty much doing this. Now, all of a sudden, do we start shifting upwards, right? Do we start moving upwards and breaking out to the upside? This is the 4 hour. The specialty should be on the daily, right? Look what's happening here. We got overbought already. Now the volatility line is pushing to the upside. Momentum is already overbought. So my concern is that, do we see any signs of bearish divergence? Not really. Guys, there is no divergence right here on the momentum. Unfortunately, I wouldn't even be going short here if you're interested in shorts. Fortunately enough, it does look like a bull flag, but we need a reset. That's the hard part, is that momentum, the purple line, ideally we want to see get oversold, and then we start trading the orange line to the upside, which means that if momentum is pushing up and volatility is pushing up, we are likely to see another expansion to the upside, the same way we saw momentum push up here and volatility push up at the same time. Purple and yellow, let me kind of make this a bit better. If you look at this, purple and orange lines, we're both going in the same direction. This is what we want here for a nice bullish move to the upside. We want to see purple and yellow going up, up, up. Now, if purple and yellow are coming down in the same direction, you see what happened. Look at this, right? Purple coming down, orange coming down, right? Push to the downside. But the support was strong. And this is what we're building a bit of confidence in that support. That's why I put the white line there, is because that support continues to be support. And all we do is bull flag out here. Eventually, when the purple line gets oversold, or if the purple line starts pushing upwards with volatility pushing up, guys, we might break out to the upside and get another expansion up. So you get what I mean? We have to get used to now, as we enter a bullish cycle, potentially, bull run, altcoin season, we have to get used to getting in on bull flags, because those bottom levels, these levels down here, are no longer going to be levels that we're going to test maybe. And we have to be prepared to taking risk on bull flags with risk to reward ratios at bottoms of the flags. That's the best way to do it. Now, if you look at the momentum, you look at the trend oscillator, trend is looking a little iffy. Let me show you what I mean. It's a bit indecisive. you can see that the EMAs are a bit indecisive right here, right? I don't like that. It looks like a duck face. Like, were we going up or are we going down? Are we curling back to the upside? Is it over? Is the dip over? Meaning, like, you can see right here, we came down a little bit. We saw the red histogram bars, but you see them tapering in a little bit. Does that mean that we're done and we're going to go for another expansion? It could be, guys. It could be. And this is why I'm saying bull flags in bullish conditions are not meant to be played with. You should be taking a bit of risk. The problem is on the local time frames, it would be nice to get a better entry at the bottom of the flag instead of at the top of the flag, just in case it does come down for a 20% dip, if you understand what I mean. But again, position size matters, guys. If you do get into a small position size, it doesn't matter if it dips. Then DCA, double down, triple down, and then build your position stronger at the bottom of the range so you can drag your average cost down and still maintain that stop loss for risk management. Guys, if I've offered you any value here on in this deep dive, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.